Today's guest has created an online community for driven female entrepreneurs. So she is right at home with our community. This community provides people what they need to know to grow, which is so important because there's so much information out there. And coming soon is its very own app. Please welcome to the podcast, Johanna Buchweitz. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to talk about you. You're the first person that I've talked to that created an app. But
Really?
yeah, before we jump into that, we probably got to back up a little bit because I'm excited about technology, gadgets, all that stuff. So we're definitely going to touch on that. But let's start off with, why did you want to start working with female entrepreneurs?
Because I was one and I needed a lot of help and I didn't get it. So it was really frustrating. I was like, I made the transition from extra corporate life and finance to starting my own company in tech, having no background in tech. So that was a fun learning curve. But I found like every time I wanted answers, it took way too long to find it. And I wasn't confident that it was actually the correct action, for my business. And I'm all about efficiencies and trying to find ways to kind of simplify processes. So I wanted to create something for other female entrepreneurs who, by the way, are like modern day superheroes, in my opinion. So I wanted to really help them be able to get the answers they're looking for and to grow and to actually enjoy building their business and have the time and money freedom that they deserve.
I think you're so right. There is no end to the amount of information that's out there, but a lot of times you can spend a ton of time trying to find it, which of course, in this day and age, we've got to be efficient. Yeah. So I'm so excited that you created this because I think it's going to be huge for our community. Where do you think that we need the most help and support as female entrepreneurs?
That's a good question and a bit of a loaded one because obviously based on your industry, you might need support in different areas. But what I can tell you is like, there's been a common thread that I've seen with every single female entrepreneur, no matter what stage they're at in their business, whether they're first starting out or especially if they're extremely successful. And mindset, which is funny because 3 years ago, I probably would have been like, no, everything's about strategy. But mindset has been such a common theme that's really been the make it or break it for a lot of these female entrepreneurs, and also obviously contributed to the happiness component and the enjoyment, and also how fast they scale, which personally I find fascinating because I'm very data driven and I'm very analytical. So a few years back, like I never would have thought that would be such a huge component where I feel like a lot of us could use a significant amount of support and help. In addition, obviously, to like the strategy pieces as well and the little nitty gritty details that we kind of need to grow.
I agree. Like all of the clients that I work with, you're right. Even though they might be super duper successful, it is about mindset because all of us have that like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Is anybody going to show up for this? And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because we're programmed that way or what it is, but there's so many people that need help with mindset because it's such a huge part of your business, and moving it forward is, if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to go very far. But what you have is such an amazing idea that the world needs it. You don't want to get bogged down with thinking that you can't do it, and really you can because everybody needs you.
100%. And like when you also have that mentality, even if you don't think that it affects the market you're speaking to, it does. Like even at a like subconscious level, people can sense that doubt. Like if you're trying to sell someone something and like somewhere they feel that resistance in you selling, that kind of switch turns on where you don't trust someone. You're like, I don't know if I want to buy from this person. Something seems a little bit shady here. And you don't want that. Like no one wants that to be the reason why you're not increasing your sales.
Totally. Because it probably has nothing to do with being shady. It's just that there's something inside of you that you're just like, I don't believe in myself, whatever the case may be, is that you don't want that to project onto someone else, because you're right. People do need what female entrepreneurs are selling for sure. And so being able to harness that and make sure that you're in the right mindset when you go into that sales appointment, huge for your business.
Mhm.
Now, let's jump into the part that I'm most excited to talk about because I'm a gadget girl. I love a good app. I have done many podcast episodes on my favorite apps, my favorite tricks or technology that I use in my business. So, what gave you the idea to even create this app?
So I love technology, just like you. And after I left my corporate job, I actually created an app. So I was really familiar with the space already, and I really like it. Technology, like I said, we have so much of it at our fingertips and so much knowledge and information that it really comes down to leveraging what we have to make it easier for us to learn from, and like I said, make it efficient. So I feel like an app or online platform is really the best way to do that. So we're building it and it's super exciting. The data piece is kind of like not as fun and sexy, but it will be when someone actually gets to use it. But the creating all that information and like organizing data is a little bit of a painful process. But for me, like I'm excited about the output of it. So I'm able to like kind of dive right in and work with my team to make it, the best we possibly can.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I feel like the organization part of it is not so great, but the very end of it, you're like, look at all these things that we can look at and look at all these things that we can track. But the beginning of it, not so much. We're kind of on the struggle bus, I like to call it, with our team too, because we are making some massive modifications to our CRM. And sometimes it can be a little painful, but I think the
Yeah.
end result, you got to keep that eye on the prize because the end result is going to be huge. It's going to make such a difference for all the people that are using this app. Now, how do you think that this app is going to help entrepreneurs the most?
So I think where it's really going to help them is the purpose of it in general is to provide you with what it is that you're looking for and the answers you need in the quickest amount of time possible. Except I don't want to just give you information. I want to give you actionable bits of information. So if you have a question, so one of the really cool things that we're putting together is this AI built algorithm, which is like a work in progress, but it's like a supercomputer and I'm so excited for it. But it's basically like a customized search engine. So if you have a specific question for your business, you're able to type that in and you're not going to get like 10 pages of answers that may or may not apply for you or your industry as you would with the Google, but you're going to get something super customized where it'll give you that, let's say like the 3 answers of information based on you, right? Where you are in your business, how big your business is, like what you're kind of looking for. And then on top of that, there's going to be very specific action items. So those action items are like the do it yourself. Here's the information you learned. You don't want to pay anybody today. That's great. Here's exactly how you can do it right now. You don't need anybody. You could do it yourself. And like, it's cheaper that way, right? Because it depends on everyone's budget. However, let's say if you want to hire a specialist to help you, like we'll also give you recommended and vetted options from resources that we love to say like, okay, this is like the best person to hire to help you really not only answer this question, but like make it all come to life, and also have a couple of different price points. So for me, I love that because one of the things I struggled with the most with my business was besides just getting the answers I was looking for was hiring the right people. Because even though some people I hired in the past were like from recommendations, there was a lot of issues, so I want to make sure that like people don't have to go through that hiring pain. And if they want to pay somebody, like they know exactly who the best person would be to hire for the specific task that they need assistance with, while also knowing that if they want to do it themselves, like here's exactly what you need to do. Here's like the information. This is how you can do it. I'm all about application.
I love that. One of my mentors said you either have time or money. And I
Yeah.
think that that's really great that you're building those different components into it because that way people are able to say, I have more time or I don't have time and I'd rather just pay to get the help. And I think the most important thing too is that freedom to choose that someone might be like, listen, hiring stinks. If you've never done it, it is hard. It's even harder when you have to let someone go. So being able to have someone available to help you with that process, I mean, that is really a game changer because that's something that we all struggle with. We all know we need more people, right? Bigger
Yeah.
teams can help us scale our business because this app really will allow us to scale our business, right?
Yeah, in an easier way. And like the same thing is like if you are looking to hire someone and your budget is $2,000, you don't want to be searching stuff and getting recommendations for someone that's going to cost you $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. It's like why would you even waste your time having to sort through it? So that goes back to the customization piece, to make sure that the answers are really custom curated for you and your business, to save you that time and money, and also just give you that confidence in making those decisions. Like, you want to feel good in your business. You don't want to be panicking and then questioning every decision that you make for like the next 2 months. Like, that's not fun. Like, go back to your purpose and be able to focus on like the things that you actually want to focus on, and building your company. Like, that's really why you started what you started to begin with.
Well, and there's certain things that you don't need to be doing. So being
Yeah.
able to go on the app and find someone to take those things off your plate will allow you to focus on your vision and doing the things that only you can do, which I think is
Yeah.
so important, because who wants to be bogged down with filing, for example? You know what I mean? That's a job that can be given to someone
Yeah.
else, someone whose passion is filing. I have someone that works for me on my team that loves to organize our Dropbox. And you would think that that is the goofiest thing, but there are people that are available for every aspect of your business, no matter how you feel about it. If you're like, meh, not so much into organizing the Dropbox, I have someone that can. So whatever you're looking for would be available on that app, which I think is so cool. So I know it's not live yet, but where can people go if they're like, I gotta find out more about this? Where can people find it?
Yeah, so the best place to do that is the website at franklyco.com. Anyone can also sign up for early access. So when it comes to technology, if anyone's not familiar, with apps, like one of the biggest, most important pieces is beta testing. So beta testing can serve two purposes. One is like to find bugs that maybe, a team cannot find, because it's always natural and every bit of technology has bugs in the beginning. So the beta testing helps that quality. But for us, the biggest piece of that beta testing is to make that AI smarter. So the more people we have in the community, the smarter our technology can be to deliver that best product. For me, at the end of the day, like, I might be, creating this, but this is a community for women. I want it to be built by the women. I'm not sitting here like, in a high tower telling everybody what they need. Like, I want to work with the exact women who I'm trying to build this for, to make it, as good as possible, so that I'm actually able to deliver on what it is I'm trying to deliver on and answer those questions for them. So the best thing to do is like to sign up for early access. And then when we're ready to start beta testing, anyone who actually wants to be part of the beta testing process, which I personally think is really cool to be part of that community, can sign up and do it.
I think that's exciting because you really get to help create something
Yeah.
that you're going to be using. So if there's something specific that you're looking for that you haven't been able to find, you could sign up as a beta tester and really help communicate with your team about what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if you're working on it and there's like a feature that you're like, this is so cool. And then you see something, you're like, you know what? It would be so helpful for me if I could see like X, Y, and Z. Like, that's awesome. Our team can build that. Right. And so it's like, it's part of having that feedback, because if you want people who are going to be using it, like, to help you in a sense build it, because we're trying to answer the questions for them, we're trying to help them, we're trying to build that community. And like, the best way to deliver the most value is to have that conversation. It's not just like, I'm building it for you and like, enjoy it, bye. Like, it's like, you just take what I give you and that's it, it'll be great. It's like, no, like, let's work together to make sure that like we're making this the best thing we possibly can for you, to help you.
I love that, because I always say, like, us girls got to stick together. Like, we can do so much when we are united. And speaking of community, you have a really awesome podcast, Limitless. So tell me more about kind of the format of that and where people can check it out too.
Yeah, so the Limitless podcast just recently launched and I love it. So, like, the whole point is to have like amazing, driven female entrepreneurs as guests on the show. And we have open and frank dialogue, because a lot of the times, like, we can just talk about our successes, right? And I'm, like I said, I'm all about action. Like, I find inspiration everywhere. And the point of the podcast is really to give business women actionable pieces of information from extraordinary other women in business. So we have really cool conversations, really cool guests in different industries. And, the point is to be able to give all that information to other women who are listening, and so that they can take action on it, like, as soon as they press pause, like, they know the next step that they need to take in their business.
Oh, that's so cool. And people can follow the podcast on Instagram too. Where can people find you there?
It's Limitless by Frankly, because it's part of the whole Frankly Co community. And you can also listen to it on the website at franklyco.com. There's a whole podcast page where you can watch it, you can listen to it wherever you choose to tune in, whether on Apple, Spotify, Android, all that's available.
And for anybody who might be listening to this while they're driving or running, I'll be sure to link all those links in the show notes so you can find them when you re-listen to this podcast. Now, one question that I ask everybody, and I'm so excited to hear your answer, is what is one piece of advice that you would give to a small business owner that might be struggling right now?
Prioritize mindset work and don't think it's all strategy. I think it's really easy to get super overwhelmed in all the little things that you need to know with your business, because you're not going to know everything, and that's just like a reality. But we think we have to, which is unrealistic, and we say we have no time. It's easy to say, okay, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes a day working on my mindset or doing any of these like self-improvement things, because that's not going to help me in my business. I'd rather like learn a new skill that's actually I can then apply. But it is such a game changer, because what we don't always realize is as we're trying to grow and scale, sometimes the things that are preventing us from doing so are not our strategies or business approaches or business knowledge, but our mindset and limiting beliefs. And I wish somebody would have told me that like 6 years ago. It would have been really helpful.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think it is something that people skip over so often. They're just like to jump into the trenches and like gotta get stuff done because time is money. But
Yeah.
you're so right about mindset. So for anyone listening, make sure that you jump over to the Limitless podcast and hear more about what Johanna's got going on over there. Thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to visit with us.
Yeah, of course. This was so much fun.